The question in front of us is there really something that will go missing from our lives if we dissociate ourselves from La République du Cameroon? Is our destiny enhanced by any association with them? What is it that is so good, so juicy, so perfect about being with La République du Cameroun that makes our people, some of our people, some who position themselves as leaders, think that we benefit by continuing to be with them, that we benefit in some sort of a federation with them? I think on this show, on this set, I think on the set of Voices, it has been clearly established, how harmful, how terrifying the horror that has visited our land and our people by association with La République du Cameroun. We are not talking about a game of identity here. As you can say, Quebec, or Scotland, or Wales, or Ireland, or East Timor can talk about. We are not talking about cultural differences. That is not what we are talking about. That we can say, oh, we just want because of the prestige that comes with your own nation, your own flag, your own emblem. That is not what we are talking about. Folks, we are talking about an issue of life and death. About our land being squeezed and the people exterminated. That is where we are. So what is it about our leaders that our people will take 5 steps forward and these fools will take 10 steps back? Folks, welcome to the Ben Kuah Show. Today, thanks for joining me on set. I needed to get that off my chest at the top. Because when I see these federalists coming out of the woodworks, being strengthened, some being pushed by La République du Cameroun even, to come out and drown, I ask myself this incredibly simple question. Have our union, our contact, our subjugation under these people been so beautiful that these people look at the route that we are on and feel that that is a route worth pursuing? On this set, I drew the sign of a Y. And the bottom of that Y, this was our date of independence. This was the advent of 1960, where we had our prime minister elected by a people under a constitution to serve them, following the principle of a government by the people, for the people. They elected him to look after their good. That prime minister had an option. Go the route of what your people are advocating for, without fear or favor from anybody. Go the route of independence or follow all the international rigmarole that takes their people into subjugation called federation. And that prime minister chose that route of federation. We are on that route. I listen to voices. I listen how they said what federation brought us. Federation brought us the dismantling of Yoke. Federation brought us the dismantling of the Victoria Seaport. Federation brought us the dismantling of every little advancement that the Southern Cameroons had had. I am pissed off. I was mellow last week when we went to Parliament. I was mellow when the idea of West Cameroon are being thrown about to obfuscate history, to cloud history. But I am furious, absolutely furious today. Before coming on air, I just listened to the recording of Pa Zama. One of a son of Amazonia, whose forefathers, land that his forefathers are buried there. His home, with families all around. I listen to somebody back on a flight who had prepared, ready to go home, to lie his weary bones in the land of his birth. And that Ambazonian, not unlike you or me, not unlike your dad or my dad, not unlike your brother or my sister, landed in La République du Cameroon because he had no airport to land in his own land, and he was turned back. Not last year, not last week, today. That his name is on the list. That he wants to overthrow Paul Biya, an Ambazonian, who in the diaspora, who has watched someone that looks like his daughter raped in her dorm room at the university, taken out and forced to roll in sewage and drink sewage. And for him to go out and express outrage and protest at the indignity forced by the most precious thing that he has, his children, his daughter. He is banned from entering the land of his birth. He is turned at the airport, taken to a flight that he wants to overthrow the government. He said, no, please, I have no concern with Paul Biya. That's what the courageous man was saying. A simple man of our people. I have no problem with Paul Biya. You can keep your Paul Biya for 100 million years, please. I am just an Ambazonian. I just want to go to the land of my birth and rest. And they told him no and marched him back to the plane that he landed on, put him back there and sang. A few months back, another Ambazonian had gone to the embassy of La République du Cameroon in Washington, D.C. to go and bury the dad who had died. He put in his passport. They told him to go and come back with his flight itinerary and everything. He went, got all of that, rushed back to the embassy, and they hand him his passport back that they cannot give him visa. And he started shouting there, "My dad has died. I am the Chokche." You understand the meaning of who the head of the family is in our tradition, in our land. I am the head. I need to go back. I need to be there to bury my father and do all the traditional rites so that his passage and the health of the family is okay. He was told there is a quota allowed for Southern Amazonians. A quota at the embassy, and that quota is over. No more Amazonians can be issued visa within the next 3 months. He should come after. You know, our people are one of the most courageous people I have ever had the pleasure of meeting in my young life. I am proud to have been born an Amazonian. Really proud because of the courage and the determination and the will of sacrifice that our people show. Those who have seized the mantle of leadership for our people have been the most cowardly. The most cowardly, and I am sorry. I am sorry to be casting aspersion so widely, but they have been one of the most cowardly of our people. We do not deserve the type of people who have stepped up in crisis and seized the mantle of leadership, because they have always subjugated and diverted the will of the people based on cowardice and interest that is not the interest of our people. You know, prior to the United Nations coming up with this solution of our subjugation under La République du Cameroon or Nigeria, polls were conducted in the southern Cameroons. The government of John Gu Foncha, the government of EML Endele, all of them had evidence from the grassroots of our people that was specific and overwhelming. We are a free people. We will be on our own. We do not need and do not want to join anybody. They had all of that, folks, on the piece of paper, moving around our territory. They sat in offices. They had guards as leaders of the people. And these gentlemen decided that the will of our people was not strong enough or stronger than the will of a British man, than the will of Aijo, than the will of De Gaulle. that the will of over 1 million Southern Cameroonians was not more than the will of 3 people: a British man, Charles de Gaulle, Aïdjo. We seem to be repeating the same mistake today. All over our land, from Pinyin to Bumaka, all over our land, the overwhelming will of our people is clear. We have had enough. The genocide practiced on us is enough. And you get people who step forward and seize the mantle of leadership. Seize it. Nobody handed it to them. Nobody asked them. They step up. Once you step up in a crisis and you force yourself to the leadership position and the people look at you as a leader, you have a responsibility to those people. A big responsibility. It would be better for you not to step forward. It would be better for you to sit wherever you are and swallow your tongue than to step forward and then suddenly you diverted the will of the people. Because when you talk about your West Cameroon, when you talk about your federation, now you are selling out exactly as the Foncha sold out the will of the people of the Southern Cameroons to 3 people. 3. The will of over 1 million. Today, it is the will of more than 5 million. So, folks, when I heard this man, simple man of our people, turn around at the airport, what I had taken as, just an issue to be handled with care turned me furious. His land is denied to him. His livelihood, his family is cut off from him. And he is sent on exile, just like that. And we have people running in Yaoundé talking about West Cameroon. Is it cowardice? Or is it something else? I had this quotation from Frederick Douglass, as I say, the American slave who became one of the leaders of the anti-slavery movement. And I'm going to repeat it again today. And listen carefully to it. Some of the quotation that I'll read about. This is what he said. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation are men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. And he went on. The doctrine that submission to violence is the best cure for violence did not hold good as between slaves and overseer. He was whipped oftener who was whipped easiest. You get that? The doctrine that submission to violence is the best cure for violence did not hold good as between slaves and overseer. He was whipped oftener who was whipped easiest. Even a bully stronger than you would go to the person stronger than you and who will always beat you down badly, will go to the person who doesn't fight back than to you, that you know that he's bigger than you, stronger than you, but you still try to bite and scratch. He would often bypass you, although he knows that he can beat you down, and go to the person who can, when he comes, he turns his back, hold his head, and like a little gong dog, he will go to him before he comes to you. So when these our guys think that federation is a sanitized form of us living in quote-unquote peace, then I call bullshit on them. Okay? This is a letter written by the chairman or chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights to Mr. Paul Biya on the issue of the Southern Cameroons. Written by the Honorable Commissioner Pansy Tlakula. The subject was request for provisional measures under Rule 98 of the Rules of Procedure of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. So he say, in my capacity as the chairperson of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights, I have the honor to bring to Your Excellency, addressed to His Excellency Mr. Paul Biya, the President of the Republic of Cameroon, Office of the Presidency, that I have the honor to bring to Your Excellency's kind attention a complaint that had been brought before against the Republic of Cameroon in terms of Article 55 of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. The complaint has been seized by the Commission and registered as Communication 650/17 Bezeng and 75 others, represented by Professor Carlson Anyangwe versus the Republic of Cameroon. So the commissioner went on to list the grievances, like the complainant further alleges that to date it is estimated that over 200 people have been abducted from the Southern Cameroon by government security forces. Some have been found locked up in life-threatening jails in Yaoundé. Some have not been traced, and there are rumors that they have been killed and buried in mass graves around Yaoundé. The commissioner ended that report, so I will just go to what he indicated to Mr. Paul Biya, that in view of the above, all of those complaints that had been lodged, the commission respectfully requests Your Excellency to intervene in the matter and ensure that the government of the Republic of Cameroon adopts provisional measures to, what she said is that, Your Excellency, if the allegations in the above reference communications are correct, it would be a great cause of concern, as it will constitute gross violation of the provisions of the African Charter, in particular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 of the African Charter. And folks, everything here is what has been going on, a sanitized version even of what has been going on in Ambazonia. So these are the number, what I just read, the number of provisions of the African Charter that La République is violating in our land. So she went on to say that in view of the above, the Commission respectfully requests Your Excellency to intervene in the matter and ensure that the government of the Republic of Cameroon adopts provisional measures to halt all forms of intimidation, kidnapping, arrest, shooting, and other acts of violence against residents of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Disclose the whereabouts of all those arrested that their whereabouts are not yet known, and restore internet connection in the northwest and southwest region of Cameroon. So she said that considering the commitment of the Republic of Cameroon to the cause of human rights, including through its ratification of the African Charter, I have no doubt that the present request for provisional measures will be followed by a positive response. The Commission kindly requests the respondent state to report back on the implementation of the provisional measures granted within 15 days of receipt of this letter, in accordance to Rule 98.4 of its Rules of Procedure. I would like to inform you, Your Excellency, that as part of my responsibility, I am required to report to each ordinary session of the Commission on the actions that I have taken in my capacity as the chairperson and member of the Commission. In that regard, the content of this letter, as well as any response received from Your Excellency, will be included in my report to the 60th ordinary session of the Commission from 8 to 22nd May 2017 in Niamey, Niger, as well as in my activity report to the African Union policy organs. Please accept, Your Excellency, the assurance of my highest consideration. So that was in May. I just indicated to you what happened to an Ambazonian going in today. That is somebody out going into the territory. What is going on in our land? So this shows you how worthless La République considers such utterances. No matter the treaty obligations that they are violating, no matter the treaties that they have signed, to them these papers and this pronouncement and this judgment from what African Commission or what, it is useless. Absolutely useless. All right? So, with that, what does it say? Let us listen to this. This was an interview 1 year ago, granted by the chairman of the National Democratic Party. Let me just read part of this interview. The national chairman of the SDF, Ni John Frundi, has stated that there are ways of resolving the Anglophone problem in Cameroon without picking up arms. He made the statement in an exclusive interview granted the Post in Yaoundé on the heels of the 20th May celebration, highlighting the collateral damage caused by wars across the world and the crisis in the Nigerian Eastern House of Assembly where British Southern Cameroonians walk out. Frundi said Anglophone Cameroonians still have a right to take a political decision in the face of problems plaguing them without going to war. Does that political decision, so Mr. Frundi believes that that political decision is walking out of the house of Anglophone Cameroons. Do you get that? Can take a political decision. Anglophone Cameroons can take a political decision. As he referenced, British Southern Cameroonians walk away from the Nigerian Eastern House of Assembly. So this is a question posed to him by Yeremi Kimi Som, who had the interview with him. You say you do not have any apprehension about this National Day, May 20th. But you are an Anglophone, and you know that Anglophones have been agitating for the simple reason that May 20th marks the elimination of federalism, which they cherish most. I know that I know that the Anglophones are marginalized. That is why the SDF still believes. The SDF still believes in the federal system of government. I have told Anglophones who told me that they walk out of the Lagos House of Assembly and that the Southern Cameroons was their political decision. They walk out of the Eastern House of Assembly to form the West Cameroon. They actually form the Southern Cameroons House of Assembly. And that was their political decision. So, the same Cameroonians can divorce themselves from that option and take a political decision because there are people who think that we should go to war, we should separate, and we should fight and leave. Folks, this is the head of the party with parliamentarians in Yaoundé. You get it? He is talking as if he has no skin in the game. He is head of the party that is in parliament in Yaoundé. So who is he talking to walk out as Southern Cameroonians did in the Eastern House of Assembly? Has he called for those people to walk out of Yaoundé and they refuse to walk out? What type of shenanigans is this? Let me go on. I'm sorry. So he said that so the same Southern Cameroonians can divorce themselves from that option and take a political decision. Because there are people who think that we should go to war, we should separate, and we should fight and leave. I disagree with them. Because wars destroy the world as people are killed. Even without a war in Cameroon, you know that hundreds of Cameroonians have died in deserts, in the high seas, trying to run away because of bad governance, lack of jobs, and all the like. Look, folks, the head of a party whose birth was followed by gendarmes and army men from La République du Cameroon mowing down Southern Cameroonians, throwing grenades on them. You do not need to go to the desert or the high seas to find death. He should know better. These are his military people who were dying for him, in front of him. This is that type of political. So now you will not call Pobia on what he does because you walk into the Unity Palace and sit with him down to dinner. That's why you'll be talking about people dying in desert and high seas instead of grenades being thrown in the streets in crowds in the Southern Cameroons. Bullshit, man. Bullshit. So let me continue. There's so much package in this one answer. So he say even without a war in Cameroon, you know that hundreds of Cameroonians have died in deserts, in the high seas, trying to run away because of bad governance, lack of jobs, and all the like. So we can look for a way to bring this to a peaceful end than use the barrel of the gun. America went to Iraq and said it was 2 weeks affair. How long has it taken them? Look at the war in Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, all these areas where people are fighting and killing themselves. Even in America with no war, how many blacks are being instantaneously shot and killed just because of xenophobic differences? So I think that we can look for a better way of getting out of it than going to war and And more so, there are Francophones who are not very satisfied with the system. Ladies and gentlemen, this here is a program all on itself. I have gone too far. I don't think I can do it justice. But folks, you cannot draw the wrong lessons and apply it to us. Very, very wrong lessons. The Americans went to Iraq, said it would take them 2 weeks. Who is the Amazonian in that scenario that he is painting? Who is the Amazonian, the American who went in that they would take Iraq in 2 weeks? Or is the Amazonian the Iraqis who fought back? La Republic has invaded us. They have taken our land. So the lesson that he should be telling you is that look at what the Iraqis did. You should do the same and get this off your land. And then he's instead turning it and using it against us. And if you want to draw the American lesson, I will not even go. Before I touch that, Mr. John Fundi stood in front thousands of Southern Cameroonians. I have repeated this and I will repeat it here. And he told them that he had been assured in a few years' time, more than half of them will be dead. And why? Because any gendarme, army, police in La République du Cameroon army that is diagnosed, that is tested, and he did test positive for the AIDS virus, is transferred into the Southern Cameroons to act as a biological weapon to murder our people. So what is the death and the fear of death that he is talking about? How many millions of people have we lost? In his own words, have we lost by sitting quiet and folding our arms? You do not call the Americans and war and tell us to accept our subjugation, to accept the elimination of our people from one end of our land to the other, and you do not do that, and you call the Americans. Because the Americans never allow that. You do not take the serious problems that is in America, with blacks being killed on the streets for being black, and then you try to camouflage it with our problem. Because I will read here to you what an American leader looks like facing the same situation that Mr. John Fundi, as a Southern Cameroonian leader, and all the Southern Cameroonian leaders are facing today. All of us. Let me tell you how an American reacted in that situation. Let me read to you. Let me read that to you. Okay? So this is Patrick Henry. This is Patrick Henry. And I'm drawing this conclusion, and I'm just going here because the other part about there are Francophones who are not, I am not going to touch that. Maybe I'll come on this on another show. But here, because these people have been used, let me tell you how an American leader facing the same situation we are facing today reacted. I ask, gentlemen, sir, what means this martial array if its purpose be not to force us to submission? Can gentlemen assign any other possible motives for it. He's talking about a military presence in his land. Has Great Britain any enemy in this quarter of the world to call for all this accumulation of navies and armies? No, sir, she has none. They are meant for us. They can be meant for no other. They are sent over to bind and rivet us upon us those chains which the British ministry have been so long forging. And what have we opposed to them? Shall we try argument? Sir, we have been trying that for the last 10 years. For us, 56 years. Have we anything new to offer on the subject? Nothing. We have held the subject up in every light of which it is capable, but it has been all in vain. Shall we resort to entreaty and humble application? What terms shall we find which have not been already exhausted? Let us not, I beseech you, sir, deceive ourselves longer. Sir, we have done everything that could be done to avert the storm which is now coming on. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated ourselves before the throne and have implored its interposition to arrest the tyranny, the tyrannical hands of the ministry and parliament. Our petitions have been slighted. Our remonstrances have produced additional violence and insult. Our supplications have been disregarded, and we have been spurned with contempt from the foot of the throne. In vain, after these things, may we indulge the fond hope of peace and reconciliation. There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, if we mean to preserve inviolate those inestimable privileges for which we have been so long contending, if we mean not basely to abandon the noble struggle in which we have been so long engaged and which we have pledged ourselves have been never to abandon until the glorious object of our contest shall be obtained, we must fight. I repeat it, sir, we must fight and appeal to arms and to the God of hosts is all that is left us. They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be next week? Or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when a British guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution and indecision, inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope until our enemies shall have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak. If we make proper use of the means which the God of nature had placed in our power, 5 million people armed in the holy cause of liberty and in such a country as that which we possess are invincible by any force which our enemy can send against us. Besides, sir, we shall not fight our battle alone. There is a just God who presides over the destinies of nations and who will raise up friends to fight our battles for us. The battle, sir, is not for the strong alone. It is to the vigilant, the active, the brave. Besides, sir, we have no election. If we were base enough to desire it, it is now too late to retire from the contest. There is no retreat, but in submission and slavery. Okay? There is no retreat, but in submission and slavery. Our chains are forged. Their clanking may be heard in the plains of Abakwa and Boya. The war is inevitable, and let it come. I repeat it, sir. Let it come. It is in vain, sir, to extenuate the matter. Gentlemen may cry peace, peace, but there is no peace. The war is actually begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north will bring to our ears the clash of resounding arms. Our brethren are already in the field. Why stand we here idle? What is it that gentlemen wish? What would they have? Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what an American leader facing the same situation said, not capitulation. But what is so disappointing about these statements here, what is truly crippling about it, is to attempt to justify our servitude by comparing La République du Cameroon with the United States of America. It is a shocking misrepresentation and disregard of the absolute brutality and shame under which our people are living. I do not fault people making analysis. What I fault, and is what the Jews have always been very clear about, do not take second-rate issues and compare them to the Holocaust. Because when you do that, you diminish the suffering and the horror of a people. Do not take young black men or black men being killed in American streets and comparing it to the genocide that our people are facing. Because when you do that, you are taking a country soaked in the blood of our people and trying to whitewash that blood of them. Have there, since this event, have you seen one gendarme or police or army or administrator in La République du Cameroon been even cited, given a citation or a reprimand? One. Those who rape our girls, those who take kids out of the university and ask them to roll in sewage and kick them like dogs, those who tie our young men as if they are goats ready to be pitted over a fire. Have you one? They instead cut off our internet so that the world doesn't see what they are doing. They instead take off our phone. Is Mr. Frundi comparing that to Eric Gardner, though a sad situation, that a young man in New York going about his beauty would die on the street because of the hand of the police? Is he comparing all of what is happening to this situation where Gardner's mom and the people of New York could get out and demonstrate, even burn places, and nobody is killed or shot or arrested and died and are in unmarked graves or locked in Kondengi? Is he comparing that situation that our people are facing that will not even they have a cell phone in their hands. They go to jail. They cut off their internet. Is that the situation Mr. Fundi is comparing to? The policeman is no longer working in New York. The city has paid Eric Garner's mom millions of dollars. Fernando Castillo in Minnesota, the mother has 3 million. The governor and the whole of the state up in arms. The police dismissed. The department under review. Folks, how can a political leader, intelligent, so misrepresent situation in order to make us remain in this absolute bloodbath? My goodness. My goodness. You do not compare a colonial state steeped in the doctrine of eliminating a people and taking their land and their livelihood to a nation with problems that has rules and regulations and laws that, even though imperfect, are applied. And when wrongs are done, they are corrected. And people don't die, and their internets are not cut, and their citizens are not turned back from the airport. Don't make that mistake. It's a shame. It's a shame. Because that is what pacify our people. And every day, even from the mouth of the same leader, talking how our people, biological weapons are sent into our land and kill them. It's a shame.